Today, I am trimming my bush. As you can see, I have my mint plant in front of me, and it is ready for a trim. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sterilize my clippers, first step always, and then I'm just going to get right into it. But this video is not just about mint, I'm also going to use it as an opportunity to talk about my life. More specifically, I realized that my attitude that I have about life nowadays is drastically different than the attitude I had just like a year or two ago. And so that's what I'm talking about today. And I call this attitude the, you know what? Hell yeah attitude, because I think that really embodies how I've changed over the past few years. So this is your warning. If you don't want to hear me talk about myself or get very reflective, then click off because this video isn't for you. I want to start by talking about what my attitude was before the change. What exactly was going through my head about life before I came to college and before I became a vastly different person. And I think the way that I think about it is that I was very strict to myself back then. I didn't break any rules in school or even in the house or whatever they might be. And I also was scared of doing new things because in my mind, those are breaking the status quo, which is about just as bad as breaking the rules. And honestly, this way that I was approaching the world, it kept me limited. I was very narrow-minded, and it didn't let me do new things and meet new people or even do things alone, which is something that I really learned to develop now in college. Now, a quick aside back to the mint. I lost some of the footage of me finishing cutting it, but that's okay. I just cut it up, I rinsed it off, and now we're in the drying phases. My goal here is to dry it out, and eventually I'll put a whole bunch of alcohol inside of a jar with it, and hopefully, I'll end up with a mint extract kind of deal where I can just put that in anything and I have mint. I've never done this before. I just wanted to try it, and I had to get rid of this mint. So that's what you're seeing now. So it follows that once I have all the mint and once they're dried enough, I didn't wait. I didn't feel like waiting. Once they're dry enough, you have to take all the leaves off because I don't want the stems in the jars. So now is the painstaking process of me taking every mint leaf off of every stem for all my stems. And this took me at least 30 minutes. So now back to the topic at hand. I would sum up what I have said so far as when I was younger, I was just really lame. I was really strict, I was really narrow-minded, and I didn't do a lot. My only hobbies were playing video games and going to the gym, and I really didn't have a lot of friends I hung out with outside of that. And so everything just kind of sucked. It was really lame. Now, I don't want this to be a pity party for myself, but 2 years ago, I decided I want to focus on what actually changed in my life after this to turn me into the person I am now. So, one thing I did is I went to college. Obviously, after high school, I was kind of going down the academic route, so it just kind of made sense to go to college where I would pursue civil engineering. But going to college, where I have no friends going there with me, means I kind of have to meet new people. And meeting new people in college is awesome, is what I learned. And I think this is one of the main things that helped me branch out from my old mindset of the world is that people are not nearly as terrifying as I had made them out to be. And that meeting new people is actually a lot of fun. Now, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. I have lost a few friends because of it, because I don't live near them anymore. And I don't really keep in touch playing video games anymore, because I don't play video games anymore. But with that said, if I'm losing old friends, I'm making new friends and making new best friends. And this has been one of the best parts about going to college is I've met people that are way, way more aligned with how I am now. And the friendships I have with them are considerably more fulfilling than the ones I had before. Now, that's not a diss on my old friends. It's just that now that I'm learning more about myself and setting healthier boundaries for myself and my friendships, and just setting that expectation of clear communication off the bat, it just makes the friendship way more easy to be a part of and also just more fulfilling, like I mentioned earlier. And I should mention that my entire life in middle school and high school, I always really struggled with self esteem. And now coming into college and being forced to meet new people, you kind of realize that everyone else is looking for friends just like you are. and that everyone else is struggling just like you are. And so you start to relax and you start to realize, like, I don't need to have everything figured out. No one here has anything figured out. And so it just allows you to relax a bit more and be a lot easier on yourself. And that's what I was able to do. I was able to be a lot easier on myself, and stop judging myself so harshly. And so the combination of making new friends and really good friends, as well as realizing that everyone's kind of in the same boat as you are, and therefore relaxing my own standards and being way more forgiving and understanding of myself, I was able to improve my self esteem considerably. And the fun part about improving your self esteem is that all of a sudden you start to take care of yourself more and listen to yourself more. So I realized that I have more needs that I need to fulfill now. And so I started taking on new hobbies and trying new things. And these all help reinforce each other, right? I mentioned how I really struggled in trying new things and getting out there. And now all of a sudden I wanted to. I needed to try new things and I wanted to get out there. And so you can see how this kind of helps reinforce itself. So what did I do? Well, eventually I started to figure out how to take care of myself physically, right? Like hygiene and going to the gym, and finally finding a haircut that kind of fits me. That took me way too long to figure out. But more than that, I was also just doing more things I like to do. And so I learned that I liked going in nature. And eventually I learned that I like stargazing. Things I'd never tried or considered before, or maybe I did try it right back when I was younger. I would go on nature walks with my family and with my mom or whoever it may be. But it wasn't until this period of my life where I really learned to enjoy doing these things. But the important thing I did during this time is grow way more independent. All of a sudden, I can do all these things on my own. And so I was able to take charge and taking care of myself and fulfilling my needs. And that was a huge deal. Now, it's also important to note that during this point in my life, I was going through a considerable realignment with myself politically and morally and valuely. Is that a word? Either way, I found myself realigning, or more of just aligning, because beforehand I really didn't align much of anywhere. And now I was able to figure out where I do align and figure out what my values are and what I actually believe in and what I stand for. So basically, I went to college and became gay and woke. So maybe Republicans were right this whole time. Anyways, taking a visit back to the mint, I finally finished up taking all the leaves off the stems, and I'm showing them off here. They're looking very good. A lot less than I thought, but also still a lot more than I can handle. And so, what follows next is the obvious next step of grabbing my alcohol and dousing the mint in the alcohol, and now I'm gonna muddle it. So just gonna put the mint in there, a whole bunch of alcohol, and I'm going to smash it with a wooden spoon gently because I don't want to break the leaves. I just want to ruffle them up a little bit. And I'm going to do this for a long time. Anyways, so what did all that growth lead to? What exactly is this new worldview I'm talking about now that I'm praising so much and that I'm sure I'll probably look down on later in life, right? Like, I'm probably too young and naive to have it all figured out by now. I call it my, you know what, hell yeah mentality. Just one more aside. Once I stop mushing these mint leaves around in the alcohol, the next step is to put them in the jar. And so the next clip is going to be me very slowly getting these mint leaves into my glass jar where they will sit for about 2 weeks in a cold, dark place, so my fridge, and then we'll see if it worked. So back to my topic, this worldview of, you know what, hell yeah, is really just focusing a lot more on myself and the things I need, and also just being considerably less stressed and less anxious. But the important aspect of this mentality is that I learned getting to this point that a lot of the things I used to cringe at or think were corny or used to judge are things that I enjoy doing now, right? Like, who owns a mint plant and has to do this every month? That no one. That's a weird thing to do. But I learned that that's also some of the best stuff to do. They're my favorite things to do. And so this brings me to the very wise conclusion that I'm sure no one has ever thought about before. But trying new things is fun and it's worth it. And also, not judging people for trying new things is also a really good way to go about life. I know that this is not a radical discovery or a radical thing to say, but it's something I've only recently been able to embody fully in my own head. So that brings us to the end of the video. I really just wanted to get that out there, how I'm kind of proud of myself and getting this growth. It's not something I would have seen for myself even 2 years ago. So I'm proud of myself. And I think anyone who is struggling can maybe find this helpful. And also, the mint is done. I put it in the jar. I'm shaking it up real good. I'm going to leave it for a minute. And hopefully, at the end, I'll have some mint oil. And I hope you all enjoyed listening. I hope you all enjoyed watching. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Till next time.